In 1984, two engineering students dropped out of the University of Waterloo to start research in motion. They began in a small shop with a $15,000 loan from their parents, taking on any wireless project that would keep the lights on. By 2009, those same founders presided over the fastest-growing company on the planet. They held an $85 billion market cap and controlled over half of the entire smartphone market in the United States. The device became a cultural addiction known as the BlackBerry, but its real power was hidden in its infrastructure. On September 11, 2001, when New York's cellular networks collapsed, BlackBerry's data network stayed online. It was the only way many people could send word to their families, cementing the device as a piece of critical national security hardware. 10 years later, their share of the smartphone market sat at exactly 0%. The empire they built was dismantled by the industry they pioneered. Their engineering talent hadn't disappeared, but their perspective had. The leadership team was so insulated by their own success that they mistook their historical dominance for a permanent shield against the future. This is the danger of growth. The specific strengths used to build an empire become the anchors that sink it the moment the world decides to move on. On January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs introduced a device that stripped the mobile industry of its existing rules. By forcing carriers to let Apple control the software, he broke the business model that BlackBerry have relied on for decades. In Waterloo, the reaction was one of dismissal. Co-CEO Jim Balsillie looked at the iPhone and called it free advertising for BlackBerry, a consumer toy that posed no threat to their professional empire. Google saw the same stage and immediately scrapped their own BlackBerry-style prototypes to rebuild Android from the ground up. BlackBerry, however, changed nothing. They felt secure because of their keyboard. They believed that no corporate professional would ever trade the tactile precision of physical keys for a piece of glass that required constant charging. They missed the shift in utility. A touchscreen was not a worse keyboard. It was a blank canvas that could become a map, a bank, or a video player on demand. When a company ties its entire identity to a single physical feature, it becomes incapable of envisioning a world where that feature is no longer the point. BlackBerry listened to the customers they already had, the IT managers and security directors. They ignored the teenagers and consumers who were actually deciding what a phone was supposed to do next. They were focused on refining a piece of standalone hardware, while the industry was shifting toward a modular software environment. While RIM's internal engineers hand-built every feature, Apple launched the App Store. Within 2 years, they had over 100,000 outside developers building new capabilities for the iPhone that no single company could ever match. A refined product will always lose to a vast ecosystem because a platform leverages the scale of the entire world rather than just the people on your payroll. By the time BlackBerry tried to respond, it was with the storm. Released in late 2008, it was a rushed, buggy touchscreen device that led to a massive wave of returns and forced the company to spend $500 million on replacements. 3 years later, they launched the Playbook tablet. It entered the market without a native email client, requiring users to tether it to a BlackBerry phone just to check messages. It was a sign that the company had lost touch with its own core utility. At the top, the leadership was stuck. The co-CEO model that drove their growth turned into a paralysis machine. Engineering and sales divisions were caught in months of debate, while the market moved in weeks. In a moment of crisis, a delayed, half-hearted pivot is deadlier than a wrong decision. Indecision ensures that you arrive at the right answer only after the question has changed. In 2013, they launched BlackBerry 10. The software was genuinely impressive, but it arrived 6 years after the iPhone. By then, the developers and the users had already made their choices. The App Store was a ghost town. The losses became unsustainable. In September 2016, the company that invented the smartphone officially stopped designing its own hardware. BlackBerry survives today as a software and cybersecurity company. Their QNX operating system is the invisible foundation for millions of modern cars on the road, running the systems that drivers never see. The founders' paths diverged with the stock. Douglas Fragan exited at the peak as a billionaire. Mike Lazaridis doubled down as the company declined, eventually losing a significant portion of his fortune trying to save a vision of the past. BlackBerry proves that, in technology, being years late is a debt that can never be repaid.
Somewhere right now, another dominant company is looking at a new disruption and finding reasons to ignore it. They are looking at their own balance sheets and assuring themselves that because they are winning today, they cannot lose tomorrow.